Do you think we have left the best for last? Tsolo, Fromcorporate, please come up. And I want you to see how beautiful she looks. Look at that. That is definitely not what to wear in a war zone from a camouflage point of view. But you look so beautiful. Product owner, payment channels at Standard Bank Group. And look at this interesting topic. Chatbots for change, a journey from corporate banking to transforming communities with conversational AI. Now, before I go off stage, can we do a selfie? Because you really look beautiful. Good luck. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's so much pressure to be the last speaker of the day. Hi, my name is Tsolo Ramukoka, and I am a banker and I'm a community activist. And this dress also represents my two personalities. So being a corporate banker and also being a community builder and a social activist. So my talk today is, how do I click this? Right. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to come and speak today. I feel so privileged today because there's so many great minds in this room. Like, you know what, I'm not sure if I'm taking it from high tech to really low tech today. So yesterday, someone said something very profound. He said this conference is the intersection of innovation and imagination. I think it was Dimitri yesterday. I thought that was so profound. So for me, this is a journey where innovation actually meets empathy. So I'm a big believer in terms of technology for good. So that's why that's what brings me to my topic today. I'm going to take you through a journey of how I implemented conversational AI tool in a corporate banking setup and using the same tool in a community setup to actually improve lives of people in the community where I come from, which is about 2 hours, 3 hours from here. It's in the Rustenburg area, in the mining towns there. It's one of the biggest regions that has platinum and chrome, but yet it has one of the largest youth unemployment. So that's why this is so close to my heart. So I'll take you through a journey from the corporate boardroom to the village gatherings. So that's what my topic is about today. A little bit about me. I'm a scholar of technology. I have over 15 years in banking, corporate banking, for one of the largest financial services group in Africa. I know Nedbank is here. We have presence in over 20 countries in Africa. And I've been privileged in the last 8 years. I've been involved in digital solutions and projects outside of South Africa. So it brings you a different perspective in terms of the kind of solutions that you implement, the context, the culture. So you become open-minded about solutions for financial services, for financial inclusion. So that's why I'm here to be able to give you both worlds, from the corporate to the village gathering. So, besides my corporate banking experience, I think the community conversational AI project just came as a result of me being part of a project of bringing connectivity to the rural kids just before COVID. And I thought that was a great opportunity for me to use some of my experiences in the community where I come from. So I'm not going to go through my slides and about me. You'll get the slides. So one thing that I want to mention also is that I'm not talking on behalf of Standard Bank. I need to mention that. I'm talking about my own experiences, but also just giving you a context in terms of both worlds. the speakers today spoke about so many use cases of AI, sophisticated technology around AI. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the compelling reasons why AI is important, but I'm just going to go through, what projects that I was involved in. So in my case, I was a customer of a virtual assistant, initiated a project in the client services space. I used to head up the client contact centers for corporate clients for Africa regions at Standard Bank. So the reason we did that was to reduce the waiting times, reduce the inefficiencies that are associated with human contact center agents. And what we wanted to do also is to ensure that we join our clients on their digital transformation journeys, but also to ensure that we also encourage them to use digital channels. So for us, from a business perspective, while we wanted to centralize the client services, operations, we needed the country teams to only focus on advanced, complex queries, that are not mundane, where it can be solved by a bot. We wanted them to be involved in more meaningful work, but also to have richer conversations with clients and leave that to the virtual assistants. So that was our motivation back then. So, yeah, we went through on this journey. So the kind of queries that we were looking at is, where is my payment, especially around cross-border payments? Send me my statement. And keep in mind, these are the same clients that has access to digital channels, that they can do this on their own, but they opt to call into the contact center, which is quite interesting. And you might ask yourself, why is a multinational company calling a contact center to ask for a statement? Well, it's two reasons. The first one is that, they pay us a lot of money, so why don't you do it? I pay you to do it, so just do whatever I say. Well, the second one, which is a more harder pill to swallow, is that we make corporate banking platforms so complicated. It's not easy for our clients to use the platforms. It's got so, corporate banking, the nature of corporate banking is that the transactions are very complicated. There's complex roles and entitlements that are associated with their transactions and things like that. So we make it so complicated for our clients to use the platform. So, all they want as a platform user is just make it simple for me to use. So we had a virtual assistant that really makes it easy for them to use. We reduced our volumes by 35%, increased engagement on our platforms, and that was great. Yeah. It was exciting. So just a little background. Sorry, I forget to change the slides. So our case study, Chatbots in the 19 markets in Africa. The year is 2019, pre-COVID. And we have about 20,000 service queries that we get in our contact centers. Yeah, so those are the volumes that we looked at. And some of the benefits that we've seen is a reduction in the volume of queries because we've got a chatbot actually taking care of it. Let me move quickly. A project like this was very complex. Very, very complex. So firstly, how do you convince an organization that they need to invest in one more tool, especially during COVID? Cost-cutting measures are in place, and also the leadership is convinced that the current existing legacy platform can still do the job just as good. So why do we need to invest in a chatbot? So it was a very difficult conversation. So I could really relate to someone, I think one of the speakers said, it is important to have visionary leadership. So one of the things that we did was really collect client feedback through client interviews, did a lot of mining around client utilization patterns so that we can convince the organization this is what we need to do, and we need to encourage our clients to use the platforms more often. That was before pre-COVID, and I think I must thank COVID for us actually achieving the adoption of new channels and getting this project off the ground. So yeah, well, in some way, there are advantages. So we needed to also choose a country as an MVP or, for a pilot. One of the countries needed to be, one of the countries where it was an easier sell, so that we can show the return on investment and show that we can actually implement this in so many markets. So the convincing of the organizational buy-in was the difficult part. I think the rest of the other considerations are not as difficult. The complexity of the technology was just unimaginable. But I think once you have the buy-in, everything else just falls into place. So one of the things that I don't have there is really just looking at the fallback plan when things go wrong, which actually do go wrong at most times. So having the plan in place so that when the chatbot fails, there is a process in place that will handle that disaster, which normally happens and take you back 10 steps back because now you have lost that client in that channel and they will never use that chatbot again if something like that happens. So I cannot stress enough the fallback plan in terms of making sure that the contact centers know what to do and where the client is easily transferred properly into the organization, and there's a support structure in place to handle those. So yes, I have bruises around my back, around this project. It was very painful. But the lessons that I got from there, I thought if this can improve the client experience in a corporate banking environment, why can't I use the same technology in my community? Surely the needs in my community are not as complex. So why not the challenge? So let me tell you a little story about the community that I come from. So we live around mining towns. There's always protest to the mines saying jobs and economic opportunities. The jobs are going to the people who are not staying in that area. The mines in that community, they don't know who's the resident and who's not the resident. Why is that? We don't have addresses in rural areas. We don't know who stays in what area because there's no system in place. So what should be done? Because now the community is protesting. They say, no, foreigners are taking our jobs and things like that. But we have no way of actually controlling who's getting a job or who's not getting a business opportunity in the mine. So we need a system in place. So that's how address docs came into place. So this was a project that I started when I was studying my master's degree. I think the slide is not showing properly there. There's some text there that's misaligned. So we developed a platform that looked at address data for the residents around the mines. And we thought, oh, great, we've got data. Now the people can go onto our app and request the proof of residence, and the traditional council or the local leader or the chief will be able to sign a letter there on the platform. It was a great platform, but it couldn't take off. There are many challenges in the rural area. Firstly, there's connectivity issues. Secondly, data is expensive. We're talking about people who are unemployed want them to buy data to download our app and do all sorts of things on the app. No one is going to care about that. They will continue to go and buy a proof of residence letter at the taxi rank. And the problem continues until we came up with a chatbot on WhatsApp. That was a game changer, because now there's no need to download the app. On the WhatsApp that I still have, I can go in. It guides me through the process of actually registering. It goes through into the local traditional council or the local municipality. By the way, it's in the Northwest. The platform is there. So they are able to request the proof of residence. It gets approved in the office, and they can download it on WhatsApp. And we've seen the adoption go up the roof because of conversational AI. So now, this was a really eye-opener for me in terms of understanding what the people on the ground actually need. Well, my text are misaligned there. So what is this solving? Firstly, we are removing the barriers to employment. A proof of residence is a barrier to employment. It's a barrier to financial inclusion. When you start opening an account, we need a proof of residence to actually go in and open an account. So financial inclusion, but also service delivery. On the chat board itself, you are able to log service delivery incidents, infrastructure damage, and that chatbot is actually used for disaster management, to distribute messages, and also receive feedback from the community to assist them in a time where there is a disaster. Access to education and public services. We're able to identify households that are indigent households, and they qualify for free services. So that information is not available at the moment. Social services are actually, we are in conversation with them in terms of identifying households in the rural areas that are indigent households so that they can provide free services to them. So why am I telling you all about this? It's because I've been in both worlds. I've been in corporate, high tech, everything is, the infrastructure is high. And then I've been in the rural area where there is none when it comes to connectivity. We had to go with communities to go to the mines and go through CSI and request funds so that there's connectivity in the village. So there's a lot of work that you need to do to implement something like this. So I guess my message today is it's important to do the important stuff, things that are essential to people that are currently excluded. How do we pull them into the system and actually solve problems that really matter to them and resonates with their needs and aspirations? So that's why I'm talking about this today, to say, yes, I might go into a fancy suit in the corporate banking space on a daily basis, but when I go home, there's a reality of people who are unable to access services or even access to information. I was quite intrigued when, there's platforms about mental health and platforms, access to educational resources. Those are the kind of things that we should be focusing on. So I guess the message today is, let's go out there and create solutions that really improve society. Sydney was saying we need to create a world for our kids and our kids' kids, and making sure that there's inclusion of everybody, not only in corporate, but also in communities, somewhere in rural areas, far from here, we can create an environment where everyone feels included. So I'm not going to go through, I think I've already spoken a lot about, what we've done. I still have 3 minutes. Yeah. So going to the rural areas, what is it that we're doing? Yes, there is wonderful technology, but imagine if you take the solutions, fancy solutions that you have, and create new avenues for a different audience. And that really creates opportunities for other technologies to actually enter into that space. So that is the advantage, to say, let's start with the small things, and then we'll make sure that with the small change that we make in a community, you open up new avenues for that community to open up to mental health, access to education, other things where technology can really make an impact. And one of the biggest, I think, challenges is just building trust with the people in the rural areas, because every time they put in their data somewhere, they feel that it's going to be stolen, or, there's something that's going to go wrong. As long as we are transparent about consent, we are transparent in terms of how we use the data, they will trust in terms of using technology. So I think if we are responsible about using the data, we will gain trust of people who are being excluded now because now they don't have access to information, or they are denied access to information because they don't have connectivity. The new avenues for impact and for revenue, but also as a catalyst for economic inclusion, you open them up to global opportunities that exist. So my talk today was just to inspire, to say, how can we do the small things that really change the lives of ordinary people? So we can change this world. I tried to find a quote by Nelson Mandela just to close off, but I think this is as relevant as any other quote. We can change the world and make it a better place, and it is in our hands. Everyone who's in here, thank you so much.
So long. What a great talk. It's so inspiring. I wish more and more of us would use what we learn in corporate and in business and help people. So thank you so much. I do have a business question for you.
Okay.
But first, let me see if there are any questions, one or two. I think there's a hand back there.
Not so much a question, but more of a comment. And I think what an apt way to end a day at a summit where we've spoken about technology, and you've actually brought it back to life again to say it's actually not about the technology. It's about making a big impact in someone's world. And sometimes you don't need to have the latest and greatest, but you can have a significant impact in someone's life. And I think for me personally, great way to end the session today. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Daryl.
Well done. Anyone else who'd like to ask something? There's two hands here. Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, just at the comment. Okay, there's a hand there.
Hi, thanks very much for that. I think, first of all, it's just beautiful to see the impact you're making. I'm in a very similar position where we're going to rural areas and we're trying to give people an identity because they have assets, they have land, they have all these assets, but no one has record of this.
Yeah.
I just want to find out from you, what were the challenges in terms of the security around the information you were collecting, and say someone says they're from that area and they're actually not. How did you solve some of these challenges around that? Thank you.
Thank you. So the data sources were varied. We've got, open data source from the municipality. We also have information from Stats SA. We've got information from ESCOM. So we've got an idea in terms of where people actually live. But the most important one, there are records. It's just that the records are in paper form. There are files sitting in an office, in someone's office, in a traditional council, lekgotla, somewhere in an office. So the power of using the chatbot is that the message and the documentation is verified by a person over and above the data that already exists. It is actually verified once, and then we have that record for that verification. So you do have a second layer of verification over and above the data that is already available, but you've got a person who actually indemnifies or make sure that agrees and also approves that record to be part of that community. So that will be either the ward councillor or the hosi or the local chief who actually puts that stamp on that data point.
Okay. Let's take this question. Thank you.
Hello. So I love the initiative. I was just wondering if you have plans to expand to other areas in South Africa, and how you guys have maybe gone around solving the issue of actually people not having a physical address or roads not having names, So I'd love to speak to you about another fintech or startup that solved that internationally, but I'm just very interested to see how you guys went around solving that.
Yeah. So we're not solving the issue. So we actually, in the process, is actually formalizing the process of stand registration where people actually live. So we've actually introduced that platform to say when someone is asking for a stand, then that's when we actually start capturing, firstly, the location of the stand and where it is and things like that. But in terms of where that stand is it on a road that is marked or unnamed? That is another fintech problem that can be solved. But I'm happy to partner with any other fintech or any other startup that is willing to help us solve that. But we've explored different platforms. In terms of looking at how we can use location technologies such as your three words, which is it? Yeah, so yes, we kind of explored some of those possibilities. I have a 9-to-5 job. So I try to make impact as much as possible, but sometimes it becomes a little bit tricky to manage. But yeah, I would love to to partner.
So I think my question's been answered in any case. Yeah. So I encourage you all, when we close very soon, don't just disappear, chat to each other a bit. You're in any way screwed with traffic at this time of the day. Yeah. And meet up with Tolo and see how we can collaborate. Thank you for such an inspiring message. Well delivered. We really appreciate it. Let's give her a warm hand.
Thank you.